Hi guys, it's me, Chancellor HD, and welcome to the final, of course, race watch-along for the 2021 Formula 1 season, and it, of course, is the showdown for the World Championship, the Drivers' World Championship between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. What a Grand Prix we are in for. Going to be a very tense Grand Prix, and hopefully it will be a race that, in terms of the race win, it will go down to the very wire. And also, hopefully, the championship as well goes down to the very wire. Possibly the final few corners of the season. It should be a very good race here in Abu Dhabi. Of course, some of the corners have been altered to make for hopefully better racing from what I've seen from F2 so far. It should be definitely much better than what we had this time last year. A very poor Grand Prix at Abu Dhabi. So this is hopefully going to be a title decider that we will not forget. And of course, with them level on points, it couldn't be in a better position in terms of this World Championship and the excitement going into it. I just want to say hello to you guys in the chat. Hopefully you guys are doing well, and no matter what time it is in your part of the world, no matter what day it is, hopefully having the best day you could possibly be having. And hopefully with me and Nib, you will join us in reacting to live what happens in the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and reacting to whoever wins the World Championship. Now, before I bring Nib in, I'll just quickly update you guys as to the starting grid for today's race. Of course, I'll read it out later on, but I'll read it out just so you guys know now. So, Max Verstappen, who is in the lead of the championship because he has one more race win than Lewis Hamilton, he will start on pole position for the final Grand Prix of the season. Hamilton will be second. Hamilton, of course, on the medium compound tyre to start with, and Max on the soft. And then Norris will be third, Perez fourth, Carlos Sainz fifth, Valtteri Bottas sixth, Charles Leclerc P7, and then Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricciardo completing the top 10. And then the rest of the order is Alonso, Gasly, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Latifi, Russell, Raikkonen, Schumacher, and it would have been Mazepin last, but Mazepin has tested positive for COVID, so Mazepin will not be racing today, and Haas cannot replace him because they haven't had anyone do a practice session for the team this weekend, meaning that they can't put a replacement in as per the regulations for the Grand Prix. So that is your starting grid for the Grand Prix here in Abu Dhabi. But we'll just move things on quickly here. And yes, of course, the main thing we're going to be focusing on today is the battle for the World Championship between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton coming into the weekend. I think we probably thought Hamilton and Mercedes would be the favourites around this circuit, given what we've seen in the past and given how quick the Mercedes has been as of late. But Max Verstappen produced an absolute stonking lap in qualifying yesterday and has pole position, which if you look at the history of the last few Grand Prix here, it does, set you up extremely well, almost as well as it does at Monaco for success in terms of winning the Grand Prix and converting, of course, from pole position. But given the new layout of the circuit, I think things will be trickier today than, say, it would be for Max Verstappen if we were racing on the layout that we had, last year and before. If it was that layout, I think Max Verstappen really, all he'd have to really do is make sure that he was quick enough around the pit stop phase and, leading into the first corner. And then I think he'd be in a great position then to win the race of the championship. But now with the circuit a lot more open, wider, and able hopefully to be, able to race better, it should be a race where it goes down to the wire. I'll just bring Nib, my co-commentator for today, in now. Nib, firstly, how are you doing? But secondly, how pumped are you for this title decider?
Well, I'm doing fantastic, mate. Great to be on. Great to see everyone in the chat. And, mate, I am pumped beyond belief. I don't know how many times over the time that we've been doing this that we've both said that we need a championship battle to go down to the final race, and we bloody have it today. We have it finally. I think the two drivers that will go down as greats for the sport Hamilton already is. I think the way Verstappen's going, he certainly will be. And they're going to have this massive showdown today. It's set up absolutely perfectly, with, of course, Verstappen starting on pole on the soft compound tyre, Hamilton on the medium, and then with others behind him on the soft. It's set up to be an absolute classic, and hopefully it delivers around this much improved Abu Dhabi circuit.
And before I did earlier on in my race preview, I got into how I thought the Grand Prix would go with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, I gave my prediction earlier in the race preview. So Nib, I'll just let you get into how do you think the race will go today? Like, how do you think things will play out strategy-wise between Verstappen and Hamilton? And then if you want, you can end it with, who you think will win. But let's start, obviously, with, the first lap. Obviously crucial that Verstappen, for example, is leading into the first corner. But after that, it's going to be a very intriguing, isn't it? Strategic battle between Max, Lewis, and also Mercedes and Red Bull, isn't it?
Well, realistically, I don't think anyone in the world has a bloody clue what the hell has got to happen today, especially after the last weekend's Grand Prix in Jeddah. But I think that I don't know whether Red Bull are going to be on a two-stop or not. I would assume so, but who knows? They could, of course, just go from the soft to the hard. And I must say, during FP2, Red Bull were pretty quick on the soft. I think they're averaging about a 28.4, and then the Mercs were like in the 29s. And one thing, as we were discussing just beforehand, is that with the soft compounded tyres at this track this weekend, this favours Red Bulls for sure. Mercedes are historically great, especially in the V6 turbo hybrid era, to be very fast on the harder compounded tyres. And last weekend, that's what we had. And in the race, Mercedes were better. Now, I don't think the straight line advantage that Red Bull had, obviously they had the toe and everything in qualifying, but I don't think that will stick. I think we saw last weekend as well, Red Bull were pretty quick in the straights in qualifying, but in the race, they're just not as quick in a straight line as Mercedes. So I certainly expect Mercedes to be fast in a straight line. But I think that potentially, I think into turn 5, I think we're going to see fireworks, mate. I think maybe Norris could get past Hamilton, but Norris was quite reluctant to, in his post-quali interview, to commit to anything because he doesn't really want to get involved. But I think that Norris could potentially get up and get involved in this, and then who knows what will happen from there. But crucial that Max not only gets a good start, but gets a good run off the exit of turn 1, because obviously Hamilton's going to have the slipstream down there into turn 5, and with how wide it is, it's almost as wide as the old hairpin at the Indian Grand Prix circuit. Anything can happen, mate. Absolutely anything. But I think for me, Verstappen, the pace that Red Bull have shown over the weekend on the softer to compound tyres, I think I slightly have Verstappen ahead as my favourite for tonight.
Yeah, I'd have to have Max Verstappen as my favourite, to be honest, for the Grand Prix today. And obviously for the World Championship. I just think pole position yesterday, I think it was absolutely crucial that he got that. And I think it will be probably the factor that, keeps him ahead at the end of the day. Like I said, pole position here is still important. I was just going to say quickly, would you like to get into, what you've thought of this championship battle? I'm just trying to sort out an issue for the wrong thumbnail is showing on this stream. So I'm just going to ask quickly, so I'll let you talk for a bit. What have you thought of this championship battle? Is it the best championship battle of all time, in your opinion? What do you think about that?
I don't know about all time. I think a lot of that depends on tonight, because if we have an anticlimactic Grand Prix here, then I don't think so. But, I mean, since I've been watching F1, we've had 2010, which was rubbish because Alonso was stuck behind Petrov for seemingly 2 million years. And then obviously we had 2012, and 2012 was pretty bloody good. But I think in terms of these two going head to head nearly at every single race over the entire season, I think you do have to say that this has probably been the best championship battle. Certainly of the last 10 years. I would certainly say certainly since 2008, this is the best championship battle that we've had. To see these, I mean, these two have just driven on a ridiculous level all season long. We saw that. We've seen it all season, just the gap that these two pull out compared to the other drivers. At most track, it's at least half a second lap faster than everyone else. They've just been in another planet this year, and I think it's been the highest standard of driving that we've really seen since Mansell, Senna, and Alain Prost. It's been absolutely insane. I don't know about all time. That really does depend on the end, because as I said, if we have a not so great finish, then I don't think so. But as we were talking about before we went live, if it goes down to the final lap and they're side by side, then absolutely is it going to be the best finish and best championship ever? Probably.
Yeah, I am. Given what I've, and I've been watching Formula One for about 10 years now. I mean, the 2012 championship battle, it was a great one, but it wasn't. It was exciting in terms of you didn't know who was in the championship battle, to be honest, for quite a while, and then eventually it was whittled down to, was it Vettel, Hamilton, Alonso? Then Hamilton was knocked out, and then it was just Vettel and Alonso, and of course that was a good fight to the end. But I think in terms of pure quality, I think this has been the best, like I said, championship fight of all time, because it's been two drivers performing at a very high level with two cars that they've been pretty much the two cars equal through the year. And they've been going, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all year long. And now, in something that you wouldn't even see probably in Hollywood, they are, dead level on points in the championship. So from what I've seen so far, since I started watching Formula One, I would say that it is the best championship battle I've seen. Is it the best championship battle of all time? It's probably one of, but it's hard to say if it is the absolute greatest championship battle of all time, but definitely the best I've seen since I started watching Formula One. I'm just hoping, if I just have a look, just hoping that my thumbnails have sorted themselves out. For some reason, it was showing the qualifying thumbnail for some reason. I don't know why. Because I have changed the thumbnail in good time. I don't know why that's happening, but hopefully it has sorted itself out. But we'll just go on to the rest of the field before we get into our final predictions, at least for the Grand Prix, in terms of our final race prediction here in Abu Dhabi. So midfield-wise, you've got Lando Norris up in third place. You've got the Ferraris up in fifth and sixth, looking pretty, competitive for them. And it's looking, pretty competitive up there. Of course, Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas are in the mix there as well. I think Perez will probably be able to, find his way through there, because I think the Red Bull will be quick enough, especially on the soft compound tyre off the line. But the midfield team's looking pretty quick and pretty close to, or a lot closer rather, I should say, to Mercedes and Red Bull than they have been in the few races beforehand. And then behind them, you've got, Alpine, who are looking decent. AlphaTauri, kind of disappointing so far this weekend, but they should be better, I think, probably in the race today compared to what they were like in the qualifying session from yesterday. But Nib, do you think Norris, Sainz, Leclerc, what do you think their chances are of a podium? Do you think Perez will be just simply too quick, or do you think that those three are quick enough and that those cars might be quick enough to be up there? Because we have seen with Perez and Bottas that they're not always performing as quickly, say, as the car has been. So is it possible for those three?
I think that Perez is probably the most likely to finish ahead of all those lot. I think Ferrari will finish above McLaren this race, to be honest. Even though this sort of track does suit McLaren a lot better than other tracks that we've had in the second half of the season, I still think Ferrari, especially with their engine turned up to full beans, which Binotto's been hyping up for quite some time now, and we're seeing it's looking very good, the Ferrari engine once again. I think that Ferrari will finish probably ahead of Norris in this Grand Prix, but I do think that they will they'll be playing some sort of role in this battle, especially at the start. I mean, who knows what happens at the start? We've seen sometimes Hamilton get absolute belters. Sometimes he's bogged down and had absolute stinkers. It's been very inconsistent, but I must say, as of recent, he has been nailing those starts. And if he does nail the start, then I don't think the cars behind will challenge him in the first couple of laps. But I would certainly expect Perez to finish on the podium tonight.
Yeah, I'd probably say that it is, more likely to be a Sergio Perez, but you never know what Norris, Sainz, or Charles Leclerc could do in their respective cars. And also, we know how good they are as drivers. But I just want to quickly, because I've just remembered you saying this, I just want to quickly, before we get into our predictions, want to just let you have a couple minutes to vent your frustration about a certain driver who has won the F2 championship, but he won't be on the grid for the Formula One season next season. So, yeah, go for it. What are your thoughts as to that?
Well, I mean, it's ridiculous. How on earth is Oscar Piastri not driving in Formula One next season? This guy is quite clearly the best talent that we've had in junior formulas since George Russell and Charles Leclerc. Mick Schumacher had to have a second season in F2 to go get his championship. I thought it was ridiculous that Callum Ilott didn't get a drive, as he was absolutely unbelievable as well last year. But Piastri, for crying out loud, has won every single feature race in the second half of the season. He's won 4 feature races in a row, but because they've had a massive 2-month gap in between, he hasn't been able to really show the other teams what he can do before all the contracts got sorted out. Ultimately, Alfa Romeo have done the right thing by taking their 30 million from the Chinese sponsor of Guan Yu Zhou. But let's face it, Robert Schwartzman just beat him. Jack Doohan, who was in his second race in F2 this season, just out-qualified him. I mean, it just blows my mind that Oscar Piastri does not have a seat in Formula One. Literally the most talented driver since George Russell in the junior formulas. He's won 3 world titles in a row. The Renault Euro Cup, F3 and F2, and it's not like it's been close, this championship. Piastri has been on pole, 5 races in a row now? It's been absolutely ridiculous, and if he doesn't have a seat in 2023, I think it will be one of the biggest jokes ever. And then for John Todd to say this is showing how the pyramid is working is absolutely ridiculous. What a joke of a tweet by Jean Todt that was yesterday. I think I should probably stop there before I go any further, but it just boggles my mind how a driver this talented is not on the grid next year.
Yeah, the system's broken. Like I said, I still think, there should be some kind of way, and I was saying this in one of my my practice stream yesterday, I was saying that there should be some kind of way that, whoever wins the Formula 2 championship, there should be some kind of way that they can be given the best chance possible to be on the grid, the following season for Formula 1, because there has to be an incentive to competing and winning Formula 2, but that would really actually show that the pyramid works if you were to come through, like you said, Renault Euro Cup, then Formula 3, then Formula 2, then Formula 1. If that was the case, then it would show that, the pyramid system that they have, it works, but it clearly doesn't. The system is absolutely broken to bits, and as long as teams are still massively reliant on, needing big sponsors, say, that, come with certain drivers, as long as that continues, I don't see this changing, because I don't see the FIA and the sport in general really trying to make things better. So it really is a shame, but like Nib said, hopefully Oscar will be on the grid in 2023. Let's now get into our final predictions, though, before the Grand Prix will get underway. So I'll get into mine first. So I think Max Verstappen will win the Grand Prix today and win the World Championship. I just think he'll lead at the end of the first lap. I think he'll have a decent enough lead when he pits. And I think Lewis, he'll have a go at overtaking him, but I just think because this circuit, I think, is harder to overtake at than the one at Jeddah and Interlagos, I don't think this time he will get an overtake done. I think Max will hold on for victory. And then it'll be Lewis Hamilton second, Sergio Perez third, and then I will go Sainz fourth and Norris in fifth. Nib, what would you go for a top five here?
This is my most hated part of the pre-race, is doing a top five. I think Verstappen's going to win from Hamilton, then Perez, then I'll go with Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, because that's sort of what I said would happen beforehand, didn't I? I said that the Ferraris would finish ahead of Norris.
Yeah, and I looked at it as well in the sector time data in my race preview earlier. The Ferraris were consistently quicker than the McLarens in really the only real sectors that matter, which is Sector 2 and Sector 3. Sector 1, Norris was quicker by, I think, about 1/10 of a second, but Sector 1 is only literally one real corner that, you have to slow down for. So, yeah, Ferrari should have the pace to certainly seriously challenge Lando Norris and his position today. But with 5.5 minutes to go, guys, until this showdown in the desert begins. Just want to see in the live chat, you guys give us your predictions for this Grand Prix. Let me know right now in the live chat. You know what? Instead of giving me your top 5 race prediction, let me know right now in the chat. Who do you think will win the championship? Will it be Max Verstappen or will it be Lewis Hamilton? Let me know right now in the chat, and I'll read out as many of your comments as I can before the lights go out for the Grand Prix. I just want to say, though, don't forget, guys, if you are new to the channel, to subscribe for more content like this, because there will be, of course, plenty of watch-alongs next season for the new Formula 1 season, starting in, about 3 months' time. So don't forget to sub and hit the notifications bell for that coming up next season. And also, make sure to tune in later to the race reaction stream that I'll be doing half an hour after the race finishes, about half an hour after the race finishes. Not just to get my reaction to the Grand Prix, but also I will be announcing the schedule of content that will be coming over the winter in that stream. So make sure to come along to that so you can hear what the plan is going into the new year and what it will be in, say, January, February time. But yeah, don't forget to sub and hit the notifications bell for that content. And as well, smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. As the F1 intro on the TV is now playing, so we are not far away now. And let me just look at the chat to see what you guys think in terms of who you think will win the championship. Simon says Lewis. Ken Wallace says Lewis. Gina says Lewis. Diesel says Max. Astro Stevo thinks Hamilton. Let's find some others. Hope EJZ says hopefully they collide. Bottas on Hamilton. Aura7 says Hamilton. And yes, Simon again says Hamilton. Brabham says Lewis. Vinster says Max. Christopher says Max. Prosecutor says Max. Who else have we got? Iwi2 says, I think Max as well, do they? Yes, they do. Ash Hook says Lewis. So, Louise says Max. So honestly, it looks about 50-50, I'd say, from the chat there, in terms of who you guys think will be the world champion. As of course, I'll get my graphics up on screen in a moment. Rooksfoot, of course, the one of the moderators in chat, he thinks it will be Lewis Hamilton taking the world championship. And again, reminder, it'll either be a first ever Dutch world champion or a first ever 8-time world champion here in Abu Dhabi. So just showing the new corners. Turn 9, now a banked corner. Definitely, I think, a better corner for overtaking. And then they've made, as well, the final sector a bit quicker, so you could follow better through the final sector. And, of course, leading then back on to the first sector here of the track. And of course, like I said earlier in the weekend, we have now, for this weekend, the softest possible compound, so we'll see if that plays a big factor in the race today. But I'll now get the graphics up and I'll read out the starting grid for you guys in just a moment, and I'll do it now. So this is your starting grid for the final Grand Prix. Max Verstappen on pole position, Lewis Hamilton second, third Lando Norris, fourth is Sergio Perez, fifth Carlos Sainz, sixth Valtteri Bottas, seventh is Charles Leclerc, eighth is Yuki Tsunoda, ninth Ocon, 10th Ricciardo, and then Alonso, Gasly, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Vettel, Latifi, Russell, Raikkonen and Schumacher complete the rest of the field. And again, Mazepin 20th. He's already out of the race because he has tested positive for COVID, so his season ends early. But we have about a minute or so until the formation lap begins. We already know in the top 10 it'll be Max, Norris, Perez, Sainz, Bottas, Leclerc, Ocon, Ricciardo on the soft compound tyre to start with. The two Mercedes and Yuki Tsunoda will be on the mediums, and then when it comes to F1 outside the top 10, I'm expecting F1 outside the top 10 to be on at the softest, the medium, as I was just saying on the screen there. Mercedes, by the way, need just 17 points to win the Constructors' Championship. So even if they don't win the drivers, they can still come away with success. And if they were to win the Constructors, it would still be a phenomenal record that they will carry into next season, as we await the formation at beginning. And also a reminder that because of the new layout and because it's now quicker, it is now a 58 lap Grand Prix. So there you go. And obviously I'll get the lap counter going when the race starts. So yeah, top 10, I've already read out what tyres they're on. Alonso and Gasly are going to be starting on the hard compound. Everyone else will be starting on the medium, and I think Raikkonen is on the soft, which I did predict in, as formation lap underway now, as I did predict in my race preview that would happen, because they want to, for his final race, of course, get him right up the order. And I'll just let you quickly, Nib, give your thoughts on Raikkonen. Great career, not a great ending to his career, but hopefully we see something from him today, for some sort of good send-off.
Hopefully. I find it quite hilarious how everyone wants him to be voted driver of the day when, what do people expect him to say when they have that cringe interview after they get the driver of the day? He's like, it was just another race, and, he'll just do classic Kimi. It's been a fantastic career. Of course, got very unlucky to have so many reliability issues when he was with McLaren earlier on in his career. A great win, of course, when he won the championship in 2007. He had a great little stint with Ferrari there until he left the sport. Had a great returning success with Lotus. And then, of course, he did a very good job at Ferrari, I thought, and winning that US Grand Prix. That was a masterful race. It hasn't been a great year for Kimi. We've seen that Giovinazzi started to beat him a lot more regularly. Of course, Giovinazzi's last race as well in Formula One. But yeah, I think we're all going to miss the Iceman, and it's been a very memorable career.
Yeah, it has, and it's good that you point out that he could have won more championships than he did. 2005, I mean, if he was luckier and, didn't have so many reliability failures, I think probably wins that championship, and arguably 2003 as well. So even though you look at him and think, only a one-time champion, what's all the fuss about? When you actually look at the context, I think you realise that Kimi really is a massive legend of the sport, and probably one of the top, 20, 25 drivers of all time for sure. As Max Verstappen now comes onto the starting grid, he's just wheeling up now to his pole position slot as the tension now builds, of course, for his father, who's put so much into Max Verstappen and his journey to this point. But can his son, now with the chance to deliver, can he deliver the World Championship? And will Red Bull take home the championship, whether it be drivers or constructors, for the first time in 8 years? Of course, the last team, or, a driver from a team that wasn't Mercedes to win the championship, was Red Bull back in 2013. As now Stroll, Giovinazzi and Vettel lining up on the grid, so the last few, and it's actually Raikkonen who is on the medium. Mick Schumacher is on the soft compound of tyre as the Williams now lines up. And so does Raikkonen and Schumacher. It's been a fantastic Formula One season, and now we're going to be treated to a classic showdown in Abu Dhabi. It's 4 lights, it's 5 lights, and lights out and away we go, and Lewis Hamilton gets a brilliant start, and Lewis Hamilton leads in Abu Dhabi. Verstappen is close-ish behind. Perez up to third, Norris goes wide. Bottas has had a decent start there, and I know he's actually lost position there to Charles Leclerc, but Verstappen has had a poor start there, you have to say, but he will try, if he can, to get back past Hamilton, as Yuki Tsunoda, I think, there has had a good start in the field, but Hamilton now trying to weave about and make sure that Max does not get in the slipstream. Max dives down the inside. I don't know what they'll say about that, the stewards. If they think he forced him off, Lewis comes back out ahead. So we'll see what they think about that. But at the moment, it is Hamilton leading from Verstappen second. And then Sergio Perez in third place. Carlos Sainz is up to fourth. Hamilton has dropped a bit of time. Will he have to let him back through? We'll see in a moment. But it is Perez third, Sainz fourth, Norris fifth, Leclerc sixth. And then Bottas. Bottas has had a very poor start. He's down to 8th place, and then you got Ocon and Ricciardo completing the top 10, and then Alonso, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Vettel, Latifi, and then Raikkonen, Schumacher, and Russell. We're now on lap 2 at a 58, and Hamilton leading by 1.3 seconds, but will he have to give the position back. Nib, what was your first reaction of that? I need to see another replay of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the exact same for you. It's weird because usually when people dive up the inside, they usually will give up the line. But of course, in this championship battle, no one gives up anything. And yeah, I don't know. I think they should probably just leave it as is. I thought Hamilton did drop back a little bit, but this has been a disaster start for Red Bull. Hamilton got an absolute brilliant start, like he did at Jeddah as well. And now this is exactly in the position which Red Bull did not want them in, where they're on the soft tyre, Hamilton's on the medium, and they are behind after the first 2 laps now.
Yeah, not what they wanted. Here is a replay. So Max dives down the inside, and that's not a great camera angle, I have to say, because that TV screen gets in the way a bit. So I'd like to see a better angle of that. To me, though, it kind of looks as though Lewis didn't really have anywhere to go. Would you say that, Nib?
Yeah, I agree. I honestly, they should just leave it as is. You know, I don't think that was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, as no investigation necessary. And to be honest, from the camera angle I saw, I think that is the right decision. I don't think Lewis could have gone anywhere different. And of course, that is the definition really being forced off circuit, is if you can't go anywhere else. As Hamilton, at the end of lap 2, did the new fastest lap of the race. The gap, though, still about 1.3, 1.4 seconds between the two. But Hamilton, crucially, over a second quicker, or over a second ahead, rather, of Max Verstappen. So Verstappen won't be getting DRS. They are on the radio to the FIA, and I'm sure are bitching up a storm, but nothing they can do about it. They've now got to try and somehow, on strategy, win this race and come back at Hamilton, as there has been a mover through the order, and it is the man in his final race, as Leclerc has just passed Lando Norris for 5th place. Nope, Norris gets back ahead. As I was just going to say, Kimi Räikkönen has made up another position. He's up to P16. Of course, Michael Massey was not the biggest or the most popular person to come out of the last Grand Prix, and he might not be out of this one either, as Hamilton does another new fastest lap of a 1:28.5 and looks as though he has about a 0.2 of a second advantage right now over Verstappen, who just cannot live with him on that soft compound tyre. And think Red Bull, like you were saying there, but I was thinking maybe they could, if they were in the lead with Verstappen on the soft, maybe they could go for a one-stopper. But I think the only way really, if Hamilton can keep this speed up, the only way really Max can come back at Lewis here, wouldn't you say, is probably a 2-stop from Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, all Red Bull can do here is keep it close until they have to pit and hope to undercut Hamilton. I think that's really that's the hope that they have now.
Yeah, and I mean, he's 1.7 seconds, 1.6 now behind on this lap. If he keeps the gap about that, then he's still absolutely in play. And here's a replay of the start, and I'll let you take us through it, Nib.
Yep, so a ridiculous launch by Hamilton. Nothing Max could do to close him off. Just about stays ahead of Norris, who then lets Perez go up the inside. Max didn't have a very good exit off of turn 1 either, did he? And he lost all momentum down to the turn 5 hairpin, and here we are on board with Hamilton. Yeah, he's nearly side by side. Look at that. He's had a whole 10th faster reaction time. That's some superhuman stuff right there. And as you can see, he had 0.3 of a second faster to 200 kilometers an hour. And as we're seeing more replays of the action down at the chicane. And yeah, I think probably the right decision.
Yeah.
Really. Especially because Hamilton is so far ahead into the corner. And as you can see there, Hamilton has nowhere to go. He does the right thing in avoiding the collision. as the lead is now out to 1.9 seconds. So not good signs here for Red Bull. But the good news is that Perez is staying relatively close. And of course, Perez will be used in every way possible to stop Hamilton today.
Absolutely. And if they can use him and he can be deployed in some way, then I'm sure he will. But Max is still doing okay. He's still keeping the gap what it kind of needs to be if he's going to be close at the point of the pit stops in terms of an undercut or an overcut. We'll have to see, as Sebastian Vettel has just passed Lance Stroll, his teammate, of course, for 14th place. As we're now looking at Charles Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas, around 6th, 7th and 8th. Of course, Tsunoda is on the medium compound tyre, so you would think that Tsunoda in a position here to possibly make up position, because that tyre should now start to really, do its work, which we're seeing from example Lewis Hamilton up front on lap 6 out of 58. Hamilton about 2 seconds clear. Great to see, by the way, this visor cam of Charles Leclerc. And he is closely following the McLaren of Lando Norris, who he did pass a couple laps ago briefly, but then Norris got back ahead. But at the moment, he is over a second behind, so he won't be getting any DRS from the back of Norris. Bottas, though, who is in 8th place and has had an absolute shocker of a start and really shocker of a weekend. He does have DRS on the back of Tsunoda, so that's at least something for him. As we're now looking down the track, and there is Sainz in 4th place, who's had a very good second half of the season. And here's a replay of Vettel and Stroll. That was close. That was very close. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Between the teammates. You would have thought... Go on.
Yeah, well, we saw that at Italy, and did we see it at the Netherlands Grand Prix as well?
I think possibly,
where the teammates got very, very close. Of course, at Monza, Stroll just shoved Vettel completely off the track and ruined him at the second Lesmo. But, jeez, that was very close.
Yeah, it was. As Red Bull still on the blower, as Martin Brundle would say, to the FIA. And I don't get what they're, the FIA stewards, they've made their decision, so I don't really see what they're going to accomplish from, still pleading their case. They just need to get on now with the job in hand. And there is still 40 laps, or not 40, there's 50 laps to go. There's still plenty of time for Max Verstappen to win this yet. We've seen this season that Max... for example, at the French Grand Prix, Max had a tricky start there, and look how he came back there. So there's still plenty of time here for Max Verstappen to win. So, that moment, hopefully they don't let that define what has happened here. Max on this lap has been pretty decent, been matching Lewis just about. I mean, Lewis is, I think, just about quicker in the final sector, but Max not losing as much time maybe as you would expect on that softer and faster degrading tyre, as we're now on lap 8 and Lewis Hamilton does yet another fastest lap of the race. And yeah, Hamilton leading by 2.2 seconds. Perez 5.5 seconds off the lead. Carlos Sainz clearly in 4th place. And then Norris is 5th with Charles Leclerc tucked up right behind, about second behind. And then Tsunoda also tucked up behind Leclerc, and Bottas with Tsunoda as well. And then after that, there's a bit of a train from Esteban Ocon all the way down to Pierre Gasly, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But Hamilton is just slowly but surely pulling away. And I think if I was Red Bull in this situation, undoubtedly you have to pit Verstappen as early as you can, because if they leave him out until lap 17, 18, the gap will probably by then have grown to 4 or 5 seconds, because Hamilton is just eking out the gap and just pulling away at the moment, as Tsunoda was briefly there, just quite close behind McLaren. A good battle there in the midfield between Ferrari and McLaren, and also Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri. As now Hamilton on lap 9, quicker on that lap, but not a new fastest lap, but he was about a tenth and a half to 0.2 of a second quicker than Max on that lap. And this battle continues as Max says rear's starting to struggle a little bit. Nib, when would you say, when would be the earliest point for a pit stop for Max? Say lap 13, 14 if they were going to go for a 2-stop?
Yeah, around then, lap 13, 14, 15. You would certainly say around there. But a lot of people on Twitter are certainly not happy with the decision. I mean, Hamilton. I mean, I don't think that Hamilton. What else can Hamilton do otherwise to have a crash? When a car is that far ahead, you have to leave them space. I did say that usually you would see that the guy on the outside yield the position there instead of cutting across. I think perhaps what most people's biggest issue is that Hamilton didn't give back enough time. But I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think it's a penalty, in my opinion. I thought the stewards made the correct decision, but it's certainly advantage Hamilton. It certainly is, Chaz.
Absolutely. And I think my view of the incident is Hamilton, really, I would say was... Because Max, I mean, if you look at the replay, Max dived back from a very, he was very far behind us. By the way, Max Verstappen really falling back on this lap. The gap's just gone up to 2.8 seconds. So, like we were saying, he's going to have to pit soon because he's going to lose a lot of time to Lewis Hamilton because he's on that tyre. But Max dived from so far behind that, honestly, I don't think realistically he was going to make that overtake work and for Lewis Hamilton to still be on the circuit. And I think Hamilton was absolutely and is entitled to, fight the position. But Hamilton had nowhere to go. So really, I think it was more of a case of Max, trying to move, really lay on the brakes and forcing Lewis into going off the circuit. Lewis, of course, has kept the lead, and that's really why there's not been any penalty, because Lewis hasn't, he hasn't lost anything from being forced off the track there by Max Verstappen. As we're now on lap 10, and the gap is about 3 seconds by the looks of it at the moment. As we're currently on the TV broadcast, we're looking at the battle as Lewis Hamilton does a new fastest lap on now lap 11 out of 58. We're currently looking at the battle for what's really 5th place between 4 different cars and 4 different teams. As Hamilton, look at that. 3.5 seconds clear. He was almost a second quicker on that lap. So Max and Red Bull have got to get in the pits because they're going to lose a lot of time if they stay out on track. And there's a replay of Max at the start. And I think there, at the start on the first corner, I think Lewis went wide and caught Max out. And here's a replay again. And Max, he just came from so far back and really forced Lewis into going off. There was nowhere else Lewis could go. So I think that's just, nothing wrong with that at all.
I'll say Verstappen did keep it on track. He got it stopped. He actually did get it stopped and kept it on track. A little bit similar to Rosberg Verstappen in 2016, to be honest. Perhaps Rosberg didn't dive back from as far, but a little bit similar.
Yeah, I see what you mean. As Lewis Hamilton, by the way, another new fastest lap and another, I think, 0.8 of a second quicker on that lap as Hamilton continues to pull away at a very fast rate of knots. And like I said, I think Red Bull are going to have to switch up their strategy here and try something different because they are miles off the pace right now with both cars. Perez, 8 seconds off the lead. Max is now, and it was 4.5 seconds, and it's just continuously going up. But I think, again, Lewis, like I said, he was entitled to be on the outside of the track there, but Max, he barely kept it on the track, and like I said, I think forced Lewis into going off. So nothing really. I don't think, Lewis should give the position back, because there's nothing else he could do still. As on this lap, Lewis continues to pull away. And Max, I'm guessing on team radio, continuing to complain that his tyres have gone. And just looking through the order, and there is currently nobody within a second of another car. So much for a new exciting circuit, because we've had nothing. Nothing really since the first lap, as Hamilton now pulls the gap out to 5.1 seconds. So he wasn't as quick as he was the couple laps before, but still at least half a second quicker. And really, I'd say, Max has got to be looking to pit in the next couple laps. And if he does pit, I think what we'll be looking at, Red Bull, is clearing Norris and Leclerc out of their pit window before they pit. But problem is, by the time they do that, they'll be way too far behind, because the gap now up to 5.7 seconds. So Red Bull are in big trouble here. They really are in big trouble. As Carlos Sainz continues in 4th place, which is looking at the background. And then, Norris, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Bottas. And I think definitely when we get to the pit stop phase, I think things will start to heat up here at Yas Marina. But I've got to say, Carlos Sainz driving very, very well. He has had some good results around here. And he's showcasing his talent yet again in the Ferrari that is looking pretty good around this circuit. And Norris still, as we can see here, under pressure. He says, we keep losing gears. This might continue to happen. So it seems as though they have a problem. And here we go. So Red Bull out in the pit lane, and they're going to have to. And here we go. Max Verstappen comes into the pits. They had to do it at the end of lap 13. And he will go on to what tyres? The hard compound tyres. So there you go. So Perez is up to 2nd. Carlos Sainz should go up to 3rd. And here comes Carlos Sainz. But will Max get out ahead of the traffic? That is important. So Sainz is up to 3rd. And where is... Oh no, Max is going to come out in traffic. So it goes from bad to worse. I mean, he will clear them. He will clear... Oh, and the Ferrari there goes miles off, I think, distracted by Max Verstappen. And now Tsunoda round the outside on the medium compound tyre. And there you go, Tsunoda up to 6th place. And I think, Leclerc there simply distracted as Max Verstappen now passes Lando Norris. So didn't spend too far behind, as Leclerc now having a go at Yuki Tsunoda. And he'll do the switch back now through the turn 6-7 chicane. And Leclerc, DRS yet again. And Tsunoda, don't know why he gave him the inside line, but he has, on the run to turn 9. And Leclerc back ahead. That's I've got to say, a bit of a poor mistake there. As Lewis Hamilton now into the pits, and he puts on a set of hard... I thought it was intermediate tyres then, because it looked green. Hard compound tyres. So Hamilton copying what Red Bull do. So that leaves now Sergio Perez in the lead. Hamilton should be 2nd. And Hamilton will come out ahead of Carlos Sainz. So it'll be Perez in the lead, Hamilton 2nd, Sainz in 3rd. And then Verstappen 4th, and then Norris, and then it's Leclerc 6th. Tsunoda back down to 7th place, but hasn't really played out. And we'll just see the replay actually of Leclerc here. Was he distracted, Nib, by Verstappen, or did he just lose the rear end on the curb?
I don't really know, to be honest, from that. It certainly looked originally that he got distracted. That camera angle showed it pretty well. I think initially it certainly looked like he got distracted, but maybe he did get caught up in a little bit of dirty air. I'm not too sure. Either way, it's a poor mistake by Shells, but he's got back ahead of Tsunoda now, which is the main thing. And Norris has been losing gears, and then it's been coming back, so that's a little bit of an issue that Norris could have now. But Mercedes have done the right thing here, obviously responding. They just have to match Verstappen, and they should win with this advantage that they have now, unless Verstappen just goes absolutely mental. But of course, now Perez will be on a different strategy, and now Red Bull will try to use Perez to their advantage.
Yeah, that's what they have to do. They have to keep Perez out and hope that Hamilton catches him and then cannot get past to give Max Verstappen then the time to catch up, as Charles Leclerc and Esteban Ocon are coming into the pits. So that promotes Daniel Ricciardo up to Bottas up to 7th, and then Ricciardo up to 8th. And Leclerc there, not the quickest pit stop, but he comes out, and he'll come out probably near the back of the field, and so will Esteban Ocon as well. As Max Verstappen now closing in on Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, who is still driving very well. But yeah, Bottas is 7th, Ricciardo 8th. And then it is Alonso in 9th place. Gasly in 10th. Verstappen, by the way, now going to lose a ton of time behind Carlos Sainz in this final sector. So really, they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they waited a bit longer before they pitted, they would have lost even more time to Hamilton. So, they had to pit, really, but they ended up coming out in a bit of traffic. So, nothing really Red Bull could do. They now need to hope that Max Verstappen, like you said, Nib, just goes absolutely mental and somehow pulls out an amazing race from here. But it is currently Perez leading from Hamilton second. Hamilton has just done the new fastest lap of 1:27.8. It's Verstappen, I think, here just all running wide at the penultimate corner in the dirty air, of course, of Carlos Sainz. Very lucky he didn't break anything. May have slightly broken something on the underneath of the car. We'll have to see, but he's nowhere near the back of Carlos Sainz. He's got DRS, but he's not really close enough, I think, to be looking for a move down to turn 6 and 7. And no, he is not. I just want to update, though, where Leclerc and Ocon have come out. So Giovinazzi is up to P11. And then you've got Vettel in 12th. Stroll is 13th. Raikkonen is up to 14th. As Verstappen, DRS yet again down to turn 9. Carlos Sainz not defending, but Verstappen can't get past. And this is basically eliminating Max Verstappen's chances of winning this race and winning the championship, because he's losing so much time behind the Ferrari. Ferrari not doing anything wrong, of course, but like I said, losing a lot of time. As Leclerc, by the way, is down in 15th place as Lewis Hamilton does another new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So we've got 40 laps to go now. Lap 18 out of 58.
Got to say, Chaz, Max is pretty lucky with that moment that he had at the penultimate corner. We saw Vettel have a very similar moment during one of the practice sessions where he actually completely spun around. So, I think that Max got pretty lucky to get away with that, to be honest. Obviously, he lost a lot of time and is continuing to lose a lot of time. He should hopefully get past Carlos Sainz on this lap, but he's still really not close enough. As you can see, out of that chicane, it's really hard to stay close. Here he comes, Max.
Yep, he gets past, and, well, we'll see if Carlos Sainz fights back on the exit. He might do. He gets a good run. Does Carlos Sainz out of the turn 6-7 chicane? Will Sainz go right round the outside? No, don't think he will. He hasn't got quite the speed in a straight line And no, he will now fall behind. But Carlos Sainz, like I said, still driving very well. He's almost 10 seconds clear of Yuki Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas behind. So Sainz in a very good position right now in the Ferrari. And yeah, Verstappen took too long to get past. And Verstappen now has no one in between himself and his championship rival, but he does have a lot of time. Look at that, 9 seconds between him and Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton now only 3 seconds behind Sergio Perez, who is still out on circuit. And really, given the pace of Lewis Hamilton, I'm not sure Sergio Perez will be able to do that much about Lewis Hamilton's pace, to be honest. As Daniel Ricciardo, by the way, on our lap 19, Daniel Ricciardo coming into the pits. Ricciardo, of course, he also started, like his teammate, on the soft compound tyre. Now onto the hard compound tyre. Great pit stop from McLaren. So, Alonso up to 7th, Gasly up to 8th. Of course, Alonso and Gasly are on the hard compound tyre. And then you got Sebastian Vettel 9th. Lance Stroll is in 10th place. And then Raikkonen is up to P11. Norris has come out in 12th place, about 3 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc. So yeah, Norris in 12th, and then Leclerc is 13th. Latifi is 14th, and then Ocon is 15th. Russell 16th. Ricciardo 17th. Giovinazzi 18th, and Schumacher in 19th. There's now lap 20 out of 58, and Hamilton, I think, took about 2.5 seconds out of Sergio Perez on that lap. And like I said, Perez, he's a good driver, but he's not that good. He's not going to be able to hold Hamilton back here because Hamilton way too fast. As Carlos Sainz now into the pits from 4th place, that pushes Tsunoda and Bottas now up the order. And Perez weaving about, and Hamilton gets the move done down the inside. Will Perez dive down the inside? Yes, he will. He's going to try and hold Hamilton up as much as he can. Goes wide, though. And surely Hamilton knows what to do on the exit of the chicane. But Perez, he's got the DRS again. Sergio Perez. And will he go for the move? Yes, he will. Sergio Perez up the inside into turn 9. Look at that. Can Hamilton get back past? No, he cannot. So here we go. Perez doing exactly what Red Bull need him to do. That would have cost Hamilton probably 2 or 3 seconds. The gap between Lewis and Max is now down to 6.5 seconds. Look at Perez. He's not even trying to drive. All he's trying to do is block. He's not even on the racing line in any of the corners. And look, defending even into the final corner is Sergio Perez. Surely, though, Hamilton will get the move done. Down to turn 1, round the outside. No, he doesn't. Can he get it done into turn 3? No, he doesn't. This is perfect. Look at Verstappen. He's gaining so much time. Max has gained about 6 seconds in the last lap on Lewis Hamilton, saying that's dangerous driving. I disagree. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just defending his position. Max 2.1 seconds behind now. Now just a set. Look, he's right there. Look, Max Verstappen, he's right there. And Perez now gets past, but now Perez will have a go back at Lewis Hamilton. And can Perez somehow have a go back at Hamilton? I don't know. I don't think he will this time. Hamilton gets a great exit from the chicane, but that right there is exactly what a number 2 driver is supposed to do. Right there. He cost Lewis Hamilton 9 seconds compared to Max Verstappen. That was absolutely beautiful, wouldn't you say?
That is unbelievable by Perez. He just has Hamilton's number in wheel-to-wheel racing. My goodness gracious, that was an absolute masterclass. Now, although it's still going to be very difficult, he's brought Verstappen right back into this race with an absolute absurd drive. Look at that! Max gained 5 seconds. What on earth? That is unbelievable driving by Perez. And I think he's shown Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas how to do it.
Absolutely. That's, like I said, that is exactly what a number 2 driver is supposed to do. And now he pits for a new set of hard compound tyres, and he will now be quite a bit quicker, probably, than Hamilton and Verstappen on that fresher tyres. And yeah, Hamilton is a replay of him passing Perez and eventually got the job done. But if Verstappen is still able to come back at Hamilton, then that might be looked at as the moment, or one of the moments, that wins Verstappen the championship if he is to still win it between now and the end. Remember, Verstappen now close enough that if he wants to go for another pit stop and possibly really, race Lewis Hamilton, he has now that possibility a lot more than he did. As a couple people pitting, Lance Stroll and Kimi Raikkonen on lap 22, so Norris is up to P10. Carlos Sainz, by the way, came out in 10th place. Tsunoda is up to 3rd place. Bottas 4th. Of course, they have not pitted yet. They're still on the medium compound tyre. So good drives from both. As Bottas getting quite close, actually, to Yuki Tsunoda, but not close enough yet for an overtake. As we are now on lap 23 out of 58. Only a few laps to go until we're halfway through this title-deciding Grand Prix. But yeah, Tsunoda... let me just update. I've actually got Verstappen in the wrong position there. So it's actually Verstappen in 2nd place. Tsunoda is 3rd. Bottas 4th. Perez 5th. And Alonso, Gasly, Sainz, Vettel and Norris is your top 10. And then it is Leclerc in 11th place. Ocon... No. Leclerc is 11th. Then it is Ocon in 12th place. Daniel Ricciardo is in 13th. 14th is Nicholas Latifi. And then 15th is Russell in the Williams. The Williamses still haven't pitted. Neither have Alonso, Gasly, Vettel, or Tsunoda or Bottas at the moment. Verstappen, though, despite gaining all of that time, he is now losing time again to Lewis Hamilton. Now the gap back up to 2.5 seconds between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Hamilton, now that he got rid of Perez, now keen to build a bit of a gap to his championship rival. As, let me just complete the last couple positions as Hamilton does the new fastest lap, 1:27.6. And Lance Stroll, by the way, and Raikkonen have come out in 17th and 18th place at the very back. So there you go. As Valtteri Bottas now passes Yuki Tsunoda because Tsunoda has just pitted for AlphaTauri. Good stint there for Yuki in the AlphaTauri. And he should come out around Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc. That pit stop wasn't great, though. He lost about a second, I think, in that pit stop. So, might not be as good as I was thinking. But he is still doing a decent race. So, that pushes Alonso up to 5th. Gasly up to P6. And then you've got Sainz in 7th. Norris 8th. Let me just quickly do it. Yeah, Norris 8th. And then 9th place now is Charles Leclerc. Also, Sebastian Vettel has come in to the pits for the Aston Martin team. So, Tsunoda has come out in 10th place. So, he hasn't... he has lost a position to Charles Leclerc, who he was ahead of before Leclerc pitted. But he will, I'm sure, be right on the back of him. So, Tsunoda still in a good position, and of course he's now on much fresher tyres compared to Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz ahead. And then, yeah, you got Ocon P11, and we're now on lap 25, by the way. Hamilton still comfortably leading this Grand Prix by about 3 seconds now, I think, compared to Max Verstappen. And, yeah, you got Ocon in 11th place. Ricciardo is in 12th. And then you got Williams 13th and 14th. Latifi and Russell, respectively. Giovinazzi is 15th. And then Vettel is 16th. Stroll 17th. Raikkonen 18th. And Schumacher 19th. And, of course, Mazepin didn't start this race because of a positive COVID test, as looks as though the action for now has died down. I think really the most action you're going to see in the next few laps is probably from the midfield, because they look to be a bit closer than these two look at the moment. Is there anything different, Nib, that Red Bull can do? I mean, they tried the best with Perez, but Perez was going so slowly that anyone could have overtaken him. He was pretty much a mobile chicane at that point. But what else can they do? Because I can't really think of anything.
There's not much they really can do unless the tyres absolutely fall off the cliff and they have to pit again, but I don't think that's going to happen. They've tried everything after the disastrous start of which they had. But yeah, at the moment, it just looks like Hamilton is just a bit too fast, and I think that the dirty air is still certainly playing a bit of a role here. But yeah, Hamilton's pace looks very, very quick in this race, that's for sure. And yeah, I don't think there really is much more that Red Bull can do.
Honestly, the only thing I can think of is pitting him again for a set of mediums and trying to do what they did in France. I think that's the only thing they can do if they're going to win this race. Because if they continue like they are, as Mercedes on the radio there to the FIA probably complaining, like I said, there's nothing Sergio Perez did wrong in what he did. Yeah, he was very slow, but I think you could argue that was also because he was on tyres that were absolutely dead compared to what Lewis Hamilton has or had. Yeah, the only thing I can think of that Max can do is, like I said, what he did at the French Grand Prix, which is pit for another set of tyres. As Kimi Raikkonen, oh no, is he going slowly? I think he is. And I think Raikkonen is about to pull out of this Grand Prix. His last ever Grand Prix. And I think he's pulling over, letting people through. I mean, he's obviously being lapped, but he's letting people through a lot more than he normally would. And it looks as though Kimi's career has come to a sad end. He's now looking as though he's getting up to a bit more speed now, but it looked as though he really slowed down there. And he's now down in last place. And oh, there you go. What was that?
It looks like wow.
That was. Did he lock the rears on the changing the gears down? I'm guessing.
You would have to assume, but wow, that's a very scary accident for Kimi. My goodness.
Very unusual, to be honest, to see him having. Oh no! Look, Russell has a problem. That tyre failure, I think it might be, because Russell hasn't pitted yet. So Russell now has a problem. Pirelli were concerned. As Raikkonen, is he going to come back out? No, he's not. He's taken the gloves off, and Kimi Raikkonen's fantastic career, you have to say, has come to an end. Farewell, Kimi. Definitely my favourite person in Formula One, and should have had more in his career, but it is sadly come to a close. Kimi Raikkonen is out, but yeah, Russell here. Does he have a flat tyre or just a problem? I don't know. Looks as though it's just a problem with his car. Here's a replay of Russell. And no idea what that was. Suspension problem, is it? That suspension or
earth? I have no idea, mate.
He must have felt something go on the exit of the corner, because there was nothing obvious that I could see there for Russell. Russell, I think, is out of this Grand Prix, and so is, like I said, Kimi Raikkonen. The Iceman finally can hang it up. And,
much like JB, of course, retiring with an incident in that part of the track.
And
of course, JB broke his suspension going over the curb like an absolute pillock, to be honest. But
yeah, that was a very old man mistake at the time, to be honest.
It was for sure. And yeah, we've seen people retiring, not having exactly the greatest end. Most notably, of course, David Coulthard.
Yeah, took out for the millionth time that season by Kazuki Nakajima at, I think, turn 1 or turn 2. As lap 29, and back to the action at the front, Lewis Hamilton leading by 3.5 seconds from Max Verstappen as, of course, it gets progressively darker. Hamilton saying it's a long way for these tyres, so obviously has some concern about whether he can get to the end. And like I said, in regards to Max Verstappen, I think the only thing they can do and they should do is pit him again and try and hunt Hamilton down. I mean, if they were to pit now for a fresh set of tyres and Hamilton, let's say they responded, Max would be close enough probably when Hamilton came out the pits to possibly pressurise Hamilton. So I think it's worth a go, to be honest, because I don't see what they're gaining really by just doing what Mercedes are doing, because clearly Mercedes are quicker in this Grand Prix. As Giovinazzi, by the way, is up to 13th. Vettel up to 14th. Stroll up to 15th. Latifi, by the way, has pitted in the Williams. Russell still in the pits, but we believe Russell is out of the race. And lap 30 out of 58, and Lewis Hamilton does another new fastest lap and pulls the gap to 4 seconds now over Max Verstappen, and it's getting bigger and bigger as the laps go on. And as it stands, Lewis Hamilton will be the first ever 8-time world champion, and obviously if he was to become that, he would be the undisputed greatest of all time, because he would hold pretty much every important record in the sport. As still, Valtteri Bottas is in 3rd place, hasn't pitted yet. He's only a second and a half ahead of Sergio Perez, who of course has pitted. And then you got Alonso 5th, Gasly 6th. They have not pitted yet. They may be hoping for a virtual safety car or a safety car, those two. Of course, they started on the hard compound tyre. They will probably move on to the medium compound to finish this race. I think Alonso and Gasly will probably come into the pits in the next 5 laps or so, if I was to guess. As Verstappen continues to trail, Hamilton continues to drop time. He's already dropped another 0.3 of a second on this lap. And Hamilton, he will come up in a moment to lap the Haas of Mick Schumacher, who is in P16. Now on lap 31, of course, we've crossed over the halfway point. Just want to say, again, like I said earlier in the stream, don't forget, if you are new to the channel, to subscribe, guys, for more content like this, because we will be live for plenty of watch-alongs next season. As Valtteri Bottas, by the way, comes into the pits from 3rd place. We'll be live plenty of times next season for watch-alongs, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for that coming up next year. And as well, don't forget to join me after the race, about 30 minutes after the race, for the race reaction stream, to react with me to the events of this Grand Prix and, of course, the outcome of the World Championship. And also, I will announce in that stream what the plan for content is over the winter, so make sure to head over to that stream after we're done here for that as well. But Bottas will come out in 9th place, I believe. Yep, he comes out behind Charles Leclerc. He has actually jumped Yuki Tsunoda, so he has gained a position. So, you know, that is something for Valtteri Bottas there. As, Sainz is up to 6th now. And then you got Norris 7th. And then Leclerc 8th, Bottas 9th, and Tsunoda 10th. It's now on lap 32. Valtteri already right behind the Ferrari of Leclerc. Leclerc locking his inside front. And will he be easy meat now into turn 9? Yes, he will. Leclerc weaving all over the place. Can he keep Valtteri behind? Yes, he does, with some questionable driving, I have to say. But he keeps the position, but I don't think it'll be long because Leclerc, compared to Sainz in that car, does not look anywhere near as stable in that car. As they now come into the final sector. As, by the way, Sergio Perez is now half a minute behind the leader, Lewis Hamilton. At this rate, if Hamilton and Verstappen, or if Hamilton was to not pit again, he's probably going to lap maybe all of the field except for Sergio Perez and maybe Valtteri Bottas, if Bottas can come through the field here. Very quick is Lewis Hamilton and also Max Verstappen at the very front, as Bottas now to turn 5 closes the gap, and now he will have a go. DRS wide open, down to turn 6 and 7. Let's see, as Lewis Hamilton is another new fastest lap. Will Bottas go for it? No, he will not. But he should get a good exit here in the Mercedes. Of course, it is his last Grand Prix for the Mercedes team. Been there since 2017. Done very well for the team, but he's not doing that well at the moment. As Bottas, does he look to the inside? He does, but he runs wide and does not get the position. So he has to wait even further. But Leclerc doing a decent defensive performance here, but I think eventually Bottas will pass because the Mercedes is quicker, despite Bottas having a couple tenths of a second disadvantage because of running an older power unit. As Lewis saying or asking on team radio, if we were to stop on the safety car, would you prefer medium or hard? Or no, that's the team asking him. And he says both tires feel good. This one too. And given the speed we've seen from him so far in this Grand Prix, you'd have to agree that Hamilton looking good no matter the tyre. As here is a visor cam of Leclerc. And Bottas, will see if he has another go. I just want to ask, Nib, track changes, I mean, they've made the track better, but it's not much better, is it?
No, that's for sure. It's certainly not much better. As here we go, Bottas. No, of course, Bottas not going to have a look, although he was very far back here as he's looking to overtake Charles Leclerc. As now he gets a decent exit. Almost Leclerc is going extreme to the right. As now Bottas will have a look down into turn 9. We'll try and go around the outside, but will he scoop back underneath? No, Leclerc does well and manages to keep himself in P8. But as usual, Bottas not exactly the greatest at overtaking, as we're seeing here. But yeah, I think if Red Bull were to pull the trigger, they're going to have to pull it relatively soon. You'd say probably around lap 40 to go onto the medium, but they don't have a fresh set of mediums. They only have used sets of mediums. But let's face it, I think Hamilton and Mercedes are just a bit too quick here this evening.
Yeah, they look as though they are. I think, honestly, if I was Red Bull now, like I said, I'd pull Max in and try something different. And if Lewis wanted to stay out, or Mercedes, wanted to stay out on track to go to the end, then, try and force the issue to the very end. But it does really look as though Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton are just simply too quick. As, talking of the devil, Lewis Hamilton, another new fastest lap as Valtteri Bottas down the inside of Charles Leclerc. But Leclerc, he knows he will now get a good exit on the final chicane. Very shiny part of his visor there, a very shiny part of his front end there, blinding him a bit on the exit of the chicane. Will Leclerc get past Bottas? No, not into turn 9. I've got to say, that's so nice to see, isn't it? The visor cam in a wheel-to-wheel combat does give you a great indicator as to what they're going through whilst, racing. That's absolutely brilliant there.
Yep.
As, Bottas eventually getting the move done. Pretty simple. Leclerc tried on the exit, but I think the Ferrari just nowhere near as quick as the Mercedes in a straight line, even with DRS, to have a go back. Hold on.
What's going on?
I think Giovinazzi has a problem, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, Giovinazzi certainly does have a problem as he's pulling off to the side of the road at turn 9. But yeah, the visor cam, helmet cam is absolutely tremendous. I think they've got to have it for all the drivers next season. Like, honestly, it's brilliant. Button said that perhaps things aren't as bright. They should be fine with actually, that's not a great part of the circuit. Because if someone loses control of their car there and it's double waved yellow, I think we might have a virtual safety car here, to be honest, because he hasn't pulled over in a great spot.
To be honest, I was going to say, I think Red Bull probably would have been screaming at the screen saying, put a virtual safety car out, please, because I think they were, as Giovinazzi was parking, they were just going past the pits, and that would have been a great time for Max to come in to the pit lane there. But no, not even a yellow flag at the moment. No virtual safety car, but will it be out long enough for Max Verstappen to gain anything? One thing we need to look out for is Alonso and Gasly. They haven't pitted yet. Where are they on track?
They've just gone past the start-finish line now.
That's such a shame. Leclerc's pitted. If that had come out 10 seconds before, Alonso and Gasly would be rubbing their hands together because that would have been perfect. That's exactly what they were hoping for. Leclerc comes in, new set of medium tyres. They all take to the end, 22 laps. That should be A-OK for Leclerc. Good pit stop as well, 2.2 seconds. We'll see how long, though, this virtual safety car stays out for. And Red Bull getting ready.
They've got to pit.
Yeah, if the virtual safety car stays out, they've got to pit. Mercedes don't look as though they're pitting. They look as though they're on...
Are we seeing Austria?
Here we go. So Max Verstappen into the pits on lap 37 for another set of hard tyres, which I think is the only fresh, like you were saying, there's the only fresh set of tyres they've got left. Now, on lap 37, so Verstappen will, come out in second place, but he wouldn't have lost as much time to Hamilton as he would have normally done. That's exactly what Max needed if he was going to come back in any way, shape or form. By the way, Leclerc, as Sergio Perez is coming in as well from third place. So there you go. A new set of hard tyres. Virtual safety car still out as Mercedes on the radio to the FIA. I can only guess what they're talking about. As Leclerc has come out in 12th place, which is pretty good. He's not that far behind the Bottas-Tsunoda fight. He's only, I think, 12, 13 seconds, which is not too bad. As Alonso and Gasly now come in from 4th and 5th. They haven't pitted yet, so let's see how much they'll benefit. I mean, they'll lose a load of positions, but they won't lose anywhere near as much time as they would have. So Carlos Sainz is up to 4th. Lando Norris is up to 5th. If the virtual safety car stays out, then will Mercedes pit? I'm guessing they will, wouldn't they?
It'd have to be absolutely insane not to pit Hamilton.
Will they pit Hamilton?
It's nearly going to be clear though, Chaz.
Look at that. Virtual safety car. Yeah, virtual safety car is now ending. And Hamilton has stayed out. Lewis Hamilton stays out on track. Green flag. Max is still quite a bit behind Lewis, but like I said, he's not as far behind, I don't think, as he would have been under, say, normal green flag conditions if he was to have made a pit stop. Let me just try and do some of the order here, as we're now on lap 38 out of 58. Max now, look at that, 17 and a half seconds behind. He probably would have been about 23 or 24 seconds behind, to be honest, if it was a normal pit stop. As Fernando Alonso is currently racing Yuki Tsunoda quite hard. Gasly, by the way, has dropped down to 9th. Giovinazzi is out of this race. And then Vettel and Alonso is up back up to 7th place for Alpine. Great there for them. Alpine essentially guaranteeing 5th in the constructors. But yeah, Vettel 13th, Stroll 14th, and then it's Schumacher 15th, Latifi 16th, and then Giovinazzi, Russell, Raikkonen, and Mazepin out of the race. Mazepin, of course, didn't start, but I have to say, a lot of retirement so far, given what this race is like. But this is exactly what Red Bull need, because now, for 20 laps, they can let Max push as hard as possible, and now Mercedes have no choice but to keep Lewis on circuit, because if they pit, Max will have the lead and Max will win the race. So they have to keep Lewis on circuit. Max, though, has gained a lot of time on that lap. New fastest lap of 1:26.3. And that was, what, a second and a half, if not 2 seconds quicker than Lewis Hamilton. And there's 19 laps to go. 16 seconds to the gap to Hamilton. Can he catch it? As Yuki Tsunoda has just repassed Fernando Alonso out there on circuit, as Hamilton saying, bit of a risk leaving me out, no? And yeah, I would say that is a bit of a risk, but...
This is Austria again, mate. I literally said it when they didn't pit him, when Max did. It's Austria all over again.
Are you not sure it's France where that happened?
No. In Austria a couple of years back, when they didn't pit Hamilton underneath the virtual safety car, exact same scenario.
Oh, I remember,
Verstappen went on to win the race.
Yeah, 2018.
2019 or 2018, yeah.
I remember now. Max hasn't gained that much on this lap, saying that. He's only gained 2 or 3 tenths of a second so far on this lap, so not exactly a ton of time. But if Max can gain a second a lap on Hamilton, then he'll be on the back of Hamilton by the end. As here is a replay of Alonso and Tsunoda. Alonso now on a fresh set of mediums, and Alonso went round the outside, but Tsunoda got the position back. And then Alonso... Oh, that's... Jesus Christ. How did they both get through without having a major accident?
My God.
Tsunoda squeezing him to the apex of all of those corners, turn 9, or not turn 9, but turn 10, 11, 12. And Alonso, lucky he didn't just pile into the side of him. Here is now a replay of how Tsunoda got back past. Right round the outside. There you go. As we're now on lap 40 out of 58, Max Verstappen does another new fastest lap. Gap now down to 15.7 seconds. Now 15.5 with 18 laps to go. So like I said, if Max can gain a second per lap, then he'll be on the back of Hamilton at the end. Lewis saying, I won't be able to keep this pace up for the whole way. Here we go. It's exactly what we wanted. It going down to the absolute wire. This is absolutely incredible. What a season it's been. And we're going to have another nail-biting conclusion to a Grand Prix. As Hamilton lost a bit of time there, lapping, I think was it Aston Martin? I think he lapped. As Max, about a second quicker on that lap. Now down to 14.7 seconds. By the way, other fights to look out for. Lando Norris is not that far behind Carlos Sainz. Also, Bottas is tucked right up behind Norris. So a good fight there for 4th, 5th and 6th. And Tsunoda and Alonso still fighting over P7 and P8. Gasly as well is pretty close in that fight. So the race now really heating up as night has fallen. And Max, we'll see what he gains later on in the lap. He gained 2 tenths of a second in Sector 1. And currently Ricciardo is within a second of Ocon in the battle for 10th place. Gasly within a second of Alonso in the battle for 8th. Bottas within a second of Norris in the battle for P5. Bottas really is racing, I would say, for 4th place, because I don't think he has the pace to really get after Sergio Perez. Here now is Pierre Gasly we're looking at on board, right behind Fernando Alonso. As we're now on lap 42. And here we go. Gasly down the inside. Alonso has nothing to defend with. And Pierre is up to 8th places. There you can see, like I was saying, Ricciardo within a second of Esteban Ocon. And Alonso going to have a go back at Gasly. Can he get the move done? No, not quite. Gasly enough ahead to keep the position. As Verstappen does another purple first sector. Do you think he can catch Lewis here, Nib? Or do you think Lewis has got enough?
I think he can. I think that we've seen, even if Max's tyres drop off, that Hamilton's tyres are also going to drop off. Oh man, we're in for some finish, mate.
We are. As replay there, Gasly, easily passing Alonso for P8, so 7th and 8th for AlphaTauri. Pretty good results so far, but there is still 15 laps or so to go. Just as we were saying, this race has not been great, and now it is really starting to get going. It's Hamilton, luckily for him at the moment, is not coming across any traffic. If he does, though, manage to get up behind, your AlphaTauris, Alpines, Ricciardo, Leclerc, who are fighting, then, because they're all close together, that might scupper him in his fight to win the championship. Verstappen, though, on that lap was barely quicker. Oh, he was quicker, but not really quick enough compared to Hamilton to really catch him by the end. He needs to be, like I said, a second a lap, really, and hope, obviously, that Lewis does get a bit of traffic. And gap currently at 14.1 seconds. Alonso, I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he flat spotted his tyres badly in that incident with Tsunoda, but he's now dropping back quite a lot from Tsunoda, from Gasly. Now he's holding up his teammate and Daniel Ricciardo as well. So I'm unsure as to what is wrong with Alonso's car, because he's only just pitted. He should be fine. For tyres, should Fernando. And Hamilton, who's on 30-lap-old hard compound tyres, begins another lap. And Max on this lap again has not gained enough. He's only gained, a tenth or two. That's not enough. If he continues like that, he will not catch Lewis by the end of the Grand Prix. As Valtteri Bottas now we're looking at on board, right behind Lando Norris in the fight for P5. And Bottas, will he go for the move? No, not close enough. And he'll have to wait behind Lando, who is still trying his best to catch, as Perez saying it's a long way to go, a long way for Hamilton to go. Norris doing his best to try and catch Carlos Sainz ahead. I was going to say, we have seen Lewis Hamilton manage to eke out his tyres way longer in the past than we thought possible. Mexico, a couple years ago, he managed to do about 50 laps, I think, on the hard compound tyre. So if there's one man who can do it, it is him. But Max is still catching.
Well, it's going to be 45 laps by the end of it if he makes it to the end, of course, because who knows with these bloody Pirelli tyres. But, man, I think Red Bull have to hope for a big tyre drop-off because Max just isn't gaining enough time at the moment.
Yeah, he's not. He's only gaining about 2 or 3 tenths of a second per lap. That's nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. It needs to be a second a lap, or at least, say, 8, 9 tenths of a second a lap, and it's just not. It's not that. Saying that, though, Hamilton, see that traffic ahead? He's now going to come up on that traffic ahead. So here we go. This could, like I said a couple laps ago, this could be a problem for Lewis Hamilton because you've got 4 cars within 2 seconds of each other, and they are not going to be keen to let Lewis Hamilton through. They want to fight for their own respective positions. So Hamilton, if he's going to lose time dramatically in the next lap or so, this could be it. As Alonso, like I said, not quite sure what's wrong with him, but his pace is very poor, despite him only just pitting onto the medium compound of tyre. As this 4 very close to each other, and Lewis Hamilton now begins lap 46 out of 58. And Max on that lap gained, again, another 10th or 2, but again, nowhere near enough. It's only 13.5 seconds, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Max, though, now needs to hope that, like you said, Nib, that he has either a massive tyre drop-off or / this traffic holds him up. As now, Ricciardo and Leclerc, DRS open, but nowhere really to go with it. To be honest, I am surprised that Alpine have not told Alonso to let Ocon through, because Ocon is clearly much quicker, and it would help Ocon defend position against Ricciardo and Leclerc. But they are not doing so at the moment. And there he is. There's your man. Hoping he was out there in that position.
Yeah, let's go.
But, yeah, Alpine surprised. Like I said, they've not used any team orders. And I think Charles Leclerc has let Lewis Hamilton through on this lap. And he has. And Hamilton hasn't even lost that much time in the dirty air. And I think we have to say, I don't think, unless a miracle happens, I don't think Max Verstappen is going to catch Lewis Hamilton here. I just don't see how he can. 13.5 seconds in 11 laps. Max is a great driver, but he's not that good. As Lewis now laps Daniel Ricciardo, who is sat in 11th place.
Yeah, spot on, Chaz. It's going to take for Hamilton's tyres to absolutely fall off the cliff, as now Bottas is having a look at Lando Norris here into turn 9, but he's nowhere near close enough. As I was saying, it's going to have to take a ridiculous tyre drop-off to happen, but there doesn't really seem to be any sign of that at the moment. I mean, this is just an outstanding drive by Hamilton.
As Kimi Räikkönen winning the Driver of the Day vote, even though he was the first man to retire. As, we're still looking at Bottas on this lap behind Norris. Verstappen has gained a bit of time on Hamilton on this lap. I still think Hamilton has traffic, though, which is an explanation behind that. And yeah, here we go. A lot of traffic into this final sector. And it's the 2 Alpines, I think. So this will help Verstappen close the gap, but Lewis still has a good enough gap. And yet Ocon now lets Lewis go. 10 laps left. Let us know in the chat, guys. Do you think Max can catch Lewis and win this World Championship? Max did gain a lot of time on that lap. Now the gap down to 12.3 seconds. But 10 laps to go. Max would need to catch Lewis by 1.5 seconds per lap on average if he was going to catch the reigning world champion for the lead. And the next man, I don't think will make it that difficult for him. And that next man to be lapped is Fernando Alonso. As Verstappen has just lapped Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin a lap or so ago. And yeah, Bottas still within a second, as the Dutch fans are, I think, pretty resigned that Max Verstappen is has a slim to none chance, really, of this championship being won, as he now comes into turn 9 and gapped at 12.2 seconds, but so far on this lap he's not really gaining a whole lot of time as Hamilton, I think, as he comes around the final corner now, Lewis Hamilton, he will be let through by his ex-teammate Fernando Alonso. And he is. So Hamilton, now the next car for him to lap will be Pierre Gasly and then Yuki Tsunoda. And Hamilton looking in a great position here to win his 8th World Championship. And like I said, if he won his 8th World Championship, he would go down without a doubt as the greatest of all time. Whether that's your opinion, statistically, both, doesn't matter. You cannot deny the most wins, most poles, and the most championships as being the greatest of all time. As Bottas has another go on Norris, but he just cannot, with that older power unit, get close enough. As Max, where's he gained that time from? He's gained a lot of time there. The gap's now down to 11 seconds. Was 12.2 a moment ago. Now it's down to 11 seconds. So Max has gained a lot of time out of nowhere. If he keeps that up, that would be great. As Norris pits. What on earth is that for? I'm guessing a puncture, I think. Is there a puncture on his right front? Some kind of issue. And, yeah.
I did mention the gear issue earlier, but it just doesn't seem to be that.
It doesn't seem to be that. It looked like a tyre issue to me. Like a possible right front was going a bit flat. As we're now on lap 50 out of 58. And the gap between Lewis and Max is 11 seconds with 8 laps to go. So Lando Norris drops all the way down the order. And he will drop Lando. He's right in between Ocon and Ricciardo in that very tight scrap. So now it's a 5-car scrap in that part of the field. Yeah, Bottas is now 5th. Tsunoda up to 6th. That would be a great result for him. Gasly 7th. Alonso 8th. Ocon 9th. And Norris is in 10th place. And Hamilton's tyres, you have to say, look in great condition considering how many laps they have done.
Yeah, they look pretty schmick, especially considering he's been pushing flat out on them. As my God, this gaggle of cars, I think we're about to see chaos. Maybe not 4 wide like we did in F2 yesterday, but maybe 3 wide. Who knows?
Yeah, the F2 race yesterday, a bit mental at the start and for the first lap or so. But yeah, we'll see what happens in regards to this battle. Fernando seems as though he's picked up the pace slightly based on what he was doing previously. As Hamilton's still lapping pretty quickly. And here's a replay of Norris. So this is Norris on the exit of the pit lane against Esteban Ocon. And he came up behind, but then great run out turn 5. DRS wide open and gets the move done. So Lando is up to P9. And Hamilton still leading by about 11 seconds. Perez in 3rd. Reminder, Mercedes at the moment will take also the Constructors' Championship. They only need 17 points to win the Constructors. They're currently heading for 25 points, I think, and Red Bull on 33. So obviously, even though Red Bull outscore them, Mercedes far enough ahead to get the job done, as Lando Norris already has overtaken Fernando Alonso. So Norris is up to 8th.
And Chaz, you were right. It was a slow front left puncture on Lando Norris's car on very similar age tyres to Mr. Hamilton's.
Yeah, that's going to make things interesting. Very similar, though, for Norris, isn't it, to what happened in Qatar? Very similar lap as well. He pitted around lap 50-ish, and then came out around the same part of the field, around 9th and 10th place. So pretty much a carbon copy there for Norris. Hamilton, though, still quicker than Verstappen, despite being on such old tyres. And Lewis, you have to say, has been pushing, really, since the race started. Fastest lap after fastest lap. I mean, Max has the fastest lap now because he's on much fresher tyres. But, of course, in regards to the championship, it doesn't matter, as Hamilton pulls the gap out to 11.5 now that Max is in the traffic. Max has just lapped Charles Leclerc. As the Dutch fans, like I said, looking resigned to their fate at the moment. And now we're looking at Ricciardo following the two Alpines, and Max will be losing a bag load of time through this final sector. And like I think we've been saying, really, Nib, unless something really dramatic happens, I think this race and this championship is pretty much over and done with. This is a replay of Norris and Alonso doesn't even defend Norris much quicker than Fernando in the Alpine. And yeah, the race isn't over yet by any means, as we're now on lap 53 out of 58, only 5 laps to go. But that start, isn't it? That start is going to be the thing that really cost him this race, because if he was out front, given how hard it has been to follow here, you'd have to say, Nib, that if Max had led into turn 1, probably would have been the difference between winning and losing this championship.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. If Red Bull lose the race, they really have only themselves to blame for the poor start. I mean, they tried absolutely everything after the start, but now Max is losing time in the traffic, bearing it.
That might be a safety car. That might be a safety car right there, just as I was saying about it looks as though it's over. Nicholas Latifi has had a moment. Yep, safety car! Here we go! So Lewis Hamilton's just going to come round, turn 14 past Latifi, and he's nodding his head. He knows that, oh my, that couldn't have been a worse timed safety car. That was absolutely the worst timed safety car. 5 laps now to go, and Hamilton has not pitted. So now lap 54 out of 58, a safety car and Max Verstappen comes in. Smart decision, because now he will be on the freshest tyres possible. And what tyre will he? The soft. Obviously, he'll be on the soft. Oh my.
This is the season that keeps on giving. What is going on, Chaz?
Mercedes better hope that Williams does not get cleared away in time. Because if this race gets underway, which I'm sure it will, surely, before the end, then Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez is going to come in as well for a set of soft tyres. Then surely Max Verstappen, his chances now winning the championship are very, very good. Just as we were saying, looks as though he's lost it. And we were basically already getting into the debrief of how he's lost it. And now looks as though he might have won it, or possibly might have won it. We'll have to see. Amazing. And Hamilton saying that
fruitcake is going on.
Hamilton saying, that's unbelievable, man. It is. And that Williams, well, looking like a sauna down there at turn 14.
Well, this is one thing. Are they going to get it cleared in time? Do they decide to red flag it so that we actually get some action like what happened in Baku?
Maybe. As here's a replay. So this is Mick Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi racing on the exit of turn 9. And is there contact? There is, and Latifi gets pushed off. And then what happens? Latifi, I'm guessing, has a moment. Yeah, just simple spin into the barriers. And there you go. As Charles Leclerc, by the way, I think has gone up to P11 in the Ferrari. And that was a pretty hard hit against the barrier. I think if they get that car cleared in time, then the debris shouldn't be too hard to clear away. Should only take a lap or so. Mercedes were out for Hamilton, but Hamilton didn't pit. And they were going to pit for mediums, which wouldn't have been a great choice, really, as the safety car is still out. We will see what happens when on lap 55 out of 58. Surely, whether it's a restart under the red flag or a restart under the safety car, surely this race has got to get going again.
They did it. They did it in. Well, it's just like a very similar situation to Baku, isn't it?
Yeah.
They put the red flag out so that it didn't finish underneath the safety car, so we could get a show. Hamilton locked up, of course, and Perez went on to win the race.
Yeah. And what a Grand Prix that was, as Pierre Gasly now comes into the pits. The Williams of Latifi is still at turn 14. But I can't see whether, the progress, what progress is being made in terms of his car being cleared away. I don't know. And Hamilton, by the way, if the race does get back underway under the safety car, and there you go, they're getting that cleared away pretty well. I think, to be honest, Nib, I think Mercedes would pray for a red flag because that means they could put on whatever tyres they wanted to, and then it'd be a start it'd be a standing start. So that's what Mercedes need. But that, with Latifi his car being cleared away that quickly, that says to me we're going to be underway very, very soon. And like I said,
that's a bit of a hard hit, isn't it?
It was a hard hit. The rear end really went in.
Oh.
Quite hard. But I just want to see, just a moment, just so I can make sure my order is absolutely correct. Just want to see, as we're now on lap 56 out of 58, still behind the safety car. So either the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, as Red Bull are coming back out in the pits, are they? Who's this? This Sergio Perez back in the pits. He has a problem, doesn't he? He does. Perez, he's out. Sergio Perez is out. So Sainz is on the podium for Ferrari right now. That come out of nowhere. So Sainz is up to third. Bottas fourth. Tsunoda fifth. And then Perez now dropping down the order. Lapped cars will now overtake. Why couldn't they overtake earlier? Jesus Christ. Took long enough. And hopefully these lapped cars get on with it, because if they don't, then we're not going to get this race finished in time. But it's now Gasly in 6th place, and then it'll be Norris in 7th place. Alonso 8th, it should be. Perez is still showing in 7th place, but I think that's because he's so far ahead of everyone else that, that's why he's there. So, and then it'll be Ocon in 9th. Charles Leclerc 10th. And then Vettel. Vettel will be 11th. Ricciardo 12th. And then Stroll 13th. Schumacher 14th. And Perez should eventually be in 15th place. Like I said, a lot of retirements for an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That's the, 5th car now. Why are the lapped cars not overtaking?
They're not being allowed, mate. That's what the message was. They're not allowed to.
It just said they're allowed to.
No, I've got a screenshot on Twitter where it says not allowed.
So what's happening then? Is the race finishing under the safety car?
I have no idea, mate.
If they finish the race under the safety car, then that is the worst thing ever. I will go fucking mental if they do that. Oh, please don't. Please don't. Please don't. That would be... Oh, God. That would be the worst thing ever. The track is clear. Get on with it. Just let the lapped cars through. Just let them crack on. And then we can have, the front of the field, up with each other. Oh, God. This... Please tell me we're going to get going again. Let me just look at Twitter a moment to see what's if there's any news or whatever.
I mean, you would assume it's only because they can't sort it out, like they can't get the lapped cars back in time, but I just don't understand what they're doing, really.
Lapped cars are now overtaking, right? Please tell me their safety car's gonna... Yes! Come on! Safety car in this lap! Final lap of the season. Here we fucking go. Hamilton versus Verstappen. Hamilton on the hard. Max on the soft. This is gonna be great. Remember, there's still lapped cars, I think, trying to overtake Nib as well. Not all of them have got through, as Lewis and Max here are playing ridiculous games, aren't they? Side by side through turn 12 and 13. Lewis, remember, and now let's go of it through turn, and they go through the cement dust through turn 14, now through the penultimate corner, now into the final corner, and they now begin the final lap of the Formula One season. Can Max Verstappen win the World Championship? We will see. Now through turn 1, and Verstappen only 0.4 of a second behind, now through turn number 3. Now down to turn 5. Will Verstappen go for it? Yes, he will. Verstappen gets the move done, and Max Verstappen is into the lead. Max Verstappen leads here in Abu Dhabi, and Max Verstappen, surely, unless Hamilton can get the position back, as Max is weaving left and right, surely has got the job done. Hamilton round the outside. Can he do it? No. Can he get back on the exit? We'll have to see. Oh, he's got a great exit as Lewis Hamilton on Max Verstappen. Round the outside. Can he get the move done? And... oh, this is brilliant. And Max Verstappen's done it. Verstappen's done it. Verstappen holds on. And Max Verstappen surely is going to win this race and the World Championship, as Max Verstappen now into turn 13, turn 14, and now the penultimate corner. Max Verstappen is going to become the first ever Dutch world champion. Here he comes to the line. Max Verstappen, world champion in 2021. What a season. Lewis Hamilton finishes second. Carlos Sainz in third. What a fantastic finish. Wow. That is absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like that ever. That is sport at its absolute best.
What the fuck have we just seen, Chazal? What have we just seen? That is... we were talking pre-race, what would make this the best championship ever, and we got it. That is the best fucking championship this sport will ever have. Unbelievable. I am literally shaking.
Oh my god.
Holy smokes.
I'm shaking
What a
so
battle as well.
much.
What a battle as well. And you know what the best thing about it was? There was actually no contact. There was no shoving each other off the racetrack. Oh my God, what an ending. The best ending you will ever see. Netflix couldn't script it. Holy fuck.
Wow. What a finish. I'm literally shaking. Nib, you take it away. I can't speak. My throat's gone anyway, as you could have heard on the final lap. Wow. Max Verstappen, world champion of 2021. You take it away for a minute.
I can't believe what we've just witnessed. I mean, it would have been absolutely ridiculous if the FIA didn't let the lapped cars through. Let's face it. They made the right decision in the end, and we got an absolute straight battle between Hamilton and Verstappen on the final lap of the Grand Prix. And Verstappen is world champion. Hamilton remains on 7. Schumacher remains equal with Hamilton, or I should say Hamilton remains equal with Schumacher. But oh my God, you'll never see a crazier ending in sport than that. That is seriously up there with one of the greatest endings you will ever see in any sport. Right up there with Aguero.
Yeah.
Right up there with Istanbul. Unbelievable.
That is basically the Formula One version of the Aguero goal, isn't it? That's basically what that is. Just wow. That might be. That moment probably makes this, for me, the best season for me of all time. That is just wow. What a absolutely incredible turn of. I'm still in shock. I can't believe it. We also, I didn't get to say as well what the rest of the order was. So, Max Verstappen is your winner and is your 2021 world champion. Lewis Hamilton finishes second. Carlos Sainz finishes third. I think that's Sainz's third podium, of 2021. It's a good job by him. Bottas fourth. Tsunoda fifth. Gasly sixth. Norris seventh. Alonso 8th, Leclerc 9th, Vettel 10th. Ocon, by the way, retired. We didn't see any of that for obvious reasons. And then as Max, I think, quite emotional with his father there on the track. And the final people finishing, who haven't finished in the points, Ricciardo, Stroll, Schumacher. Your retirements, Ocon, Perez, Latifi, Giovinazzi, Russell, Raikkonen, and Mazepin. Right, quickly, so I can calm down after this stream and get the race reaction set up. Nib, rating out of 10 for the race, and
1 trillion million quadruple billion. What the fuck did we just see?
Yeah, 10 out of 10, absolute 10 out of 10, and I don't even know who you'd go for the driver of the day. Probably Max Verstappen.
I have no idea, mate.
Who cares about that? Who cares?
Perez, Raikkonen.
Yeah, Raikkonen.
Perez probably because of the defensive masterclass that he did. Like, that was some of the best driving that you'll ever see. As I'm probably sure you can hear in my voice, I'm literally shaking just everything at the moment. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for the race. Driver of the day, like I said, who gives a fuck? What a just amazing end there. Make sure to join me in about 30 to 40 minutes from now. Hopefully I've calmed down in about 30 to 40 minutes from now. And I will do a race reaction stream to that. The greatest moment, without doubt, in Formula One history. There is no doubt about it in my mind. Nib, thanks for coming on. We'll never forget this, will we? Wow, just never forget this. And thanks as well for coming on. You know, plenty of races this season. This is not the only time we've been wowed this season.
No.
France, that was a a great race. Silverstone, that was obviously a up-down race earlier in the season. Even at the start of the season, Bahrain and Imola, we had these type of, fights to the very end between these two. And just, thank you so much for coming on, this season. And also thanks to everyone in the chat who has, come to all of the watch-alongs this season. Really do appreciate it. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for the watch-alongs we'll be doing next season. Hopefully, just as much entertainment as we've had this season. But yeah, Nib, thanks so much. And yeah, be great to see you, obviously, you back next year for hopefully more of the same.
Mate, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you, mate. Mercedes are the Constructors winners, Constructors champions. Verstappen is the world champion. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, guys, I'll be live in about 30 to 40 minutes time probably for the race reaction to this Grand Prix. So don't forget to come along to that. And as well, make sure to come along to it because I will be announcing the schedule for content on the channel going forward into the winter. So yeah, make sure to come along to that stream so you can find out what the plan is going to be going forward into the rest of December, January and February, and of course testing as well. But guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the notifications bell. Don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. Don't forget as well to join the Discord server, link below in the description. Best place that is for notifications of my videos and streams. And yeah, until my race reaction stream, I'll see you there, guys. But yeah, final watch along of the season. What a amazing moment. Probably the best watch along we'll ever have. And guys, that's it for the 2021 F1 season. And it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.